the break if you'd like to look at them, and if you're interested, I think they all have price tags on. We can help you with that too. Here's a quote from Heidi. I am intrigued by the unexpected ways light catches and wraps around to reveal the form. I am drawn to the reflections of the glassy surface of an eye while the rich color of the iris smolders below. I want to capture the nuance of a gesture and the depth of color that seems to bring a face to life. I incorporate my love of pattern, texture, experimentation, and my very love of paint itself. I incorporate personal symbols, believing it is important to keep them subtle so viewers can have their own experience and create their own meaning of the piece. I create pieces that whisper of origin, oneness, and hope. Heidi will be demonstrating tonight her signature technique of glazing, layering to create luminous colors that makes the subject's skin seem moist and glowing with light. Please welcome Heidi Nelson.
Wetting this paper, I'm just going to jump in here because it's already dried itself back to what I would refer to as satin. And some of you know this term. A few years ago I had this, what I refer to as a jump. And I'm going to start with ultramarine blue. I'm interrupting myself. I'm starting with ultramarine blue for an underpainting of the shadows. My main goal here is to start with things that are areas that are soft on both sides. And hopefully as it dries, I can get in some of the areas that are not soft on both sides. And I interrupted myself and now satin I had this jump when I was teaching one day, which means an idea came when I thought, you know, we talk about the shine on the paper, and so so I usually say I deal with 4 shine levels on the paper: shiny, puddly, shiny, satin, and losing shine. And I try and get my students to recognize those because they're important so that you know when to stop and when you can keep going. And immediately I was so pleasantly amazed at how much it helped my students. I could tell the difference in the way they were getting it and how fast they got it with that one little jump. So I invite any other teacher in here to use it. God darn it. Although we always have somebody, a lot of people lack the confidence on recognizing satin. So, this is the photo I'm working from. Can you guys, we're still on. Yeah, does it work if I do that? Yeah. Anyway, this is my niece, Molly.
Who are you using?
Ultramarine. Ultramarine is one of the nice things about ultramarine, and part of the reason I like using it is, well, mostly it's because the color works really well. But the other side of that also is it's a sink and sit pigment, which means when you put it down, it's not one to travel a lot. Unlike phthalo, for instance. I mean, some of my students used to accuse me of disliking phthalo, which was not entirely true. It's just that I sometimes have an issue with it because it's so bossy. It takes over every mixture you put it in. Okay. Probably should get some of this in here real quick. Ooh, see, here we go with this little shadow right there that shows the form. Too light.
Have you already done a value study, Heidi?
You know, I should have, but I didn't. But checking my white spaces and adjusting them. It's not very white, is it? Okay, try thirstying it again. There we go. Now, with a lot of colors there, I could work sort of here, but we do have another highlight right there. But I'm going to do it anyway. This is what I refer to as integrating the figure with the background. So I want to try and avoid a cutout, make the figure too cut out. This is not the perfect color to do it with, although I just saw another place I could put some too, because there is blue here or dark here. And again, we got a little bit of dry, so just going to wet it on the outside. Of course, it's sort of dangerous to try and do that on both sides at once. At least until you really know what you're doing. Not liking that. And a lot of times I will come in and do this late, much later in the process too. Okay. I always remember my friend Marge Lyons, who does that television program and local artisans in White Bear for the local TV program, or did. Anyway, she says to me, "Heidi, we can't have dead air." Yeah, people that know me well are laughing like that would be a problem. But it is when you get nervous.
Heidi, we need the picture of the girl over farther so we can see it.
Okay, while this is drying a little bit, I wanted to talk a little. I'm not going to be able to see some of the lines I want. I go in with white chalk on the dark to get the lighter areas. And I will go in with pencil and darken in some of the lines that I know I won't be able to see. And then we get my tissue paper. This is the tracing from that, and that's how I got it. And I use a light table to get it on the This is, again, I think these colors, no, this is the only one that's not Winsor Newton. This is burnt umber, ultramarine, one of my faves for mixing a gray or a black. I generally like to make them a little on the blue side. You know, and when I do color theory, I like teaching color theory, at least occasionally. It's a lot of talking.
Name those colors again.
Ultramarine and umber. And let's see, I want to get it
Is
real.
it umber or burnt umber?
Burnt umber, sorry. Yeah. I was trying to remember, oh, that is dry. I was trying to remember, one student started calling it bumber, because when I write it in the board, I always write my colors on the board. Don't get offended, students, but it's partially because I get tired of being asked 5 million times, what color did you say again? And so I write it on the board, and it's B, period, umber, so it's bumber. I thought that was sort of humorous. This is probably too dark. Trying to get sort of the base color of these beads on her. And I want some color variation in there, and it's crawling into the skin, which is not, don't want it there. So it's wet enough that it's crawling. Yeah, there we go. I guess if I'm going to keep that pretty loose, I got to keep it loose all around. It's drying more than it feels like. Of course, this is a stage where it's sort of dangerous like that, because it feels dry, but then every now and then it will start moving like crazy. And this is where I definitely want to take some of this color outside. Now that's getting a little muddy, which means it's not dry. Maybe too much. I don't want it all over, I just want it here and there. And that was, golly gee, I'm trying to remember which North Star meeting. It was one of those meetings where they said to bring in a failed piece. And, well, the lady that lives over there on Lake Owasso, worker, and no place to rest the hand. Let's see, as I think no dead air, Heidi. Let's see, something you might not know about me. I told you I'm a college-educated artist. I have a minor in art history. I just kept taking the classes because I loved them. And I always kid that it's a minor because I had an undeclared minor because I had an artist as an advisor. You're supposed to laugh there. It's like Cal was saying at the board meeting that artists are not generally known for our organizational skills, which may be a bit of an understatement, at least when it comes to me. Yeah, my advisor didn't notice I had the minor. That's probably too dark. Hard to tell with watercolor, isn't it? Because it always seems, the first darks you put down seem so dark that you start taking them back, and then when you're done with the whole thing, you want them back. And I work this way a lot, where I go in and, again, I was working positively, meaning putting paint down, and then coming back and working negatively, going in and checking my whites is more accurate. Too dark.
Which color are you painting with right now?
This is ultramarine again. How's the head position? Not too bad?
Fine.
Okay.
I know it's usually an issue. You know, it's sort of cool painting people you know, because it's somewhat intuitive then, because I know them so well. This young lady is moving to the Twin Cities. Yay! What I was going to be doing today, because I went out and asked people if I could take their pictures, and it wasn't going well.
They said no?
Yeah! There was one Asian young man that was like, "What's the catch?" There is no catch. You know, I was carrying a clipboard because I had releases that I felt I needed them to sign in case that I did use it, and I think they're sort of scared of the clipboard. Oh, that woman's got a clipboard, she must be after something, I don't know. This one, oh, that's the one I should be getting in there, and then I need to move on. Somebody remind me I need to move on. Bonnie, that's your job.
Okay, move on.
Got to get this one in there, and then otherwise I'll be here all night.
So is your paper fairly dry now?
No, it is very damp,
Very,
which is part of the reason I'm sort of keep going here, because now this is one of those spaces too where it needs to be soft on each side and a hard line in the middle. I hope that's not too dark. It looks too dark. Go by your instincts. You know, I've been saying that a lot. Yesterday when I was teaching I teach at St. Paul Community Ed. I teach out of my home. I am semi-retired, so that's the only places I teach right now. I still feel like I'm somewhat recovering from all the teaching I did for a while. It was way too much. Let's see if we can get the soft on the other side. This is the problem, like I said, probably the trickiest part, but I was going to say something more about teaching, but I can't remember what, so it will come if it's important. That worked pretty well. I probably could get the eye shape. Now, also one thing I know I wanted to do with this is I wanted to make this eye less shadowed than it is in the photo. As you can see with this, it's all dark. See, it's just one big black, dark thing. And this one's. So right now I'm putting the shadow on the eyeball itself. This is the shadow caused by the eyelashes and the thickness of the lid. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to take a break for a second and dry this. Oops. I've been saying that for a while, hoping I could avoid it. That was from, at least the face. I don't even have it plugged in. I'm not wired.
Do you want us to take our break now?
Would that work?
Sure.
Is it that late already?
We'll take our 10-minute break now, okay?
Okay. I need to do that.
To me, that's hard.
Oh, I've got, over here, I've got a clipboard with a list, if you would like to be on a mailing list for events that I do or classes. And there were a few business cards with prices on the back for commission painting if you're at all interested. College. I often used to think, they looked at my application and went, art or chemistry?
Does Winsor Newton make those colors?
The quinacridone red is Winsor Newton. I'm looking for a red-orange. And you'll see me, well, maybe you won't see me. You will see me take some of it over here and sort of see what it looks like watered down. So because it is one of those modern equivalent of an old pigment, well, I guess they all vary from manufacturer a lot, whether they are or not. I always kid in my classes, there are no standards in the art world. This brush would be a size, this is a size 12. Somebody's asked me, black, velvet, silver, it's a round. But in another brand, it would be a 10. Or maybe a 6. Golly gee. And then I always go, welcome to my world. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I've got this down to a bright, orangey, a red-orange. I've got this theory that the reason our skin is that color is because us white folk don't have enough pigment in our skin and you're seeing some of the blood through, so that's what gives the glow. Okay, my focus here needs to be, more to myself than to you, is keeping those white edges where I need them, where they get lighter. I think I'm going to come in, because she's got a highlight along this whole side of her face here, and just re-wet this. And that will give me a starting point. Okay. And this is always sort of a challenge for me, because it's sort of like, you know how you think the apple is red, therefore I will paint the apple red. Because in my brain I'm thinking the apple is red. And that is true, but you know what? The apple might look slightly orange over there, or it might look, it has a highlight on it. I forget the highlight sometimes, especially when I'm teaching, because I'm trying to do two things at once. Because I demo when I teach. I know one place I worked tried to get me to quit doing that, and that was sort of the end of me working there. I mean, how could you teach without demoing? My students even said, well, how can, well, to each their own. I'm probably offending somebody here. I'm sorry if I am. Although I do remember when I was in college, I never had one painting demo the whole time I was there, and I was a painting major. I think that's disgusting.
Is Indian yellow a Winsor Newton color?
No, that is a Holbein color. And I've looked into it in other brands. This is starting to backwash, it's dry. And it's just so different in different colors. I don't remember who I got the idea of, got Indian yellow from. Some demo artist here.